ASX-listed Atomic Eagle is advancing their Zambian uranium project, and here to tell us more about it is CEO Phil Hoskins. Phil, it is a pleasure to see you. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Shay. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for coming on. It's not often I get taken to the region of Zambia to discuss uranium projects. Before we get into the country, let's talk a little bit about this project because it's quite unique, but it's also quite promising.
Yeah, so whilst Atomic Eagle has only existed for 2 months on the ASX, it's essentially a reverse takeover of a company called GoviEx that has existed on the TSX, the Toronto Stock Exchange, for close to 20 years, and they'd been undertaking the exploration and development on the Muntanga Uranium Project, and our group had identified that we felt it was being quite undervalued on the TSX, especially relative to other ASX-listed African uranium developers and explorers, and so that was the purpose behind the transaction. I joined the company as CEO around the time of the listing, and we are really excited about the project. So more about it, Muntanga Uranium Project in southern Zambia. The defined resource is over 47 million pounds at just over 350 ppm, which is quite good grade in the African context. Historically, there's been technical studies, full feasibility studies completed only 12 months ago, not far away from environmental approvals and settlement of relocation action plan. However, Atomic Eagle's strategy is to vastly grow the resource and improve upon the throughput that was in that previous study. So the previous study was 2.2 million pounds per annum, and we're looking to build a mega uranium mine much larger than that. And so this year is going to entail a lot of exploration. We've got walk-up drill targets with radiometric anomalies, uranium in soils. So these are high-quality targets in a region that we know is host to substantial amounts of uranium mineralisation. So it's an exciting time for the company, working off a platform of what we know is already a developable and an economic project in a sector that we like. So exciting times for the company.
Let's dive into something that you mentioned there. Now, I know that the project is technically at a DFS level, but you just recently completed the first lot of drilling in 12 years over at Muntanga East. These are really great results. Can you talk me through this part of the drilling?
Absolutely. So towards the back end of 2025, and as the transaction was being concluded, we sought to undertake quite a modest budget drill program, some low-hanging fruit that we felt could have a meaningful early impact on the resource upside. And the two targets that we've drilled were Muntanga East, which was released this morning, and also Chisebuka further to the south. And both programs, as we'd expected, intersected near surface mineralisation and thick mineralisation. The Muntanga East announcement this morning, the mineralisation is mostly sub 50 metres, and it's only a few kilometres away from the Muntanga deposit and the Dibwe East deposit, which is the central area where the majority of the resources are. And Muntanga, for example, had a 1.2 strip ratio, and these results at Muntanga East look very similar to that. So we're expecting it to be low strip additions that will contribute towards the economics. And similarly at Chisebuka was probably higher grade than we've seen across the remainder of the deposit, but very encouraging nonetheless. And with a modest program to hopefully have a meaningful impact on the mineral resource, I think is testament to the prospectivity of the region. But we think it's only scratching the surface of the potential.
I know it's early days and that it's clear that there's certainly favourable economic tailwinds here in this project for you. But I wouldn't mind sort of switching focus to Zambia. As I said at the start of today's interview, a lot of Australian investors aren't familiar with the region. Tell me, what's the infrastructure and mining culture like in this part of the world?
Yeah, Zambians are a very well-known miner within the African continent and most well-known for substantial copper production in the copper belt in the north. There is no uranium mining. We're the major uranium company in the country, but also from a political standpoint, it ranks very highly within the Fraser Institute compared to other African countries. From my own experiences, I've spent a decade developing projects in Tanzania. Zambia compares very favourably. The ministry is really well versed with mining concepts. And from an infrastructure point of view, you can always tell going through airports and driving to the city, very pleasant experience. And, oh, excuse me, I'm losing the light in my office as we speak, talking about infrastructure in first world jurisdictions. But yeah, look, the infrastructure down to site, it's a sealed road down to site, only 4 hours out of the capital. Yeah, we're on mining licenses. So from a tenure point of view, we're in good shape. So yeah, Zambia is one of the places within Africa you'd like to be developing a project.
And listen, just to take us home today, obviously you are going to start the year strong, especially being newly listed. You're full of energy in driving this project forward. What are some of the key milestones investors can look out for over the next few months?
Yeah, for sure. So this morning's announcement was the conclusion, or was the drill results we were able to complete prior to the onset of the wet season, and that runs through until about mid to late March. And that's when we'll be really ramping up the drill program for the next season. But between now and then, there'll be a mineral resource upgrade based on the drilling that we've released, and so we're very excited about that. Adding pounds, we think, will just be a direct addition to our valuation. We also will be coming out with those feasibility study results. So under the ASX rules, we need an independent engineer to sign off on the inputs to that, and so that will just be a straight release of those feasibility study outcomes that GoviEx had come out with 12 months ago. But the intention as well, we've identified a number of value engineering opportunities, and I think the intention is to come out with an optimisation study probably in the second quarter of this year, purely to demonstrate what this could look like economically with some of the opportunities that we've identified, and also looking at a slightly bigger production profile as well. We believe that's going to have a material impact on the economics. And as I said, though, we're not driving it down the development path. It will be about exploration, but there'll be some nice things. ESIA approval, relocation action plan, again, development phase things, but I think they really just demonstrate this is an advanced asset, and it's more the company's decision to go down the exploration path. We're very well funded with $20 million in the bank at the end of December. We are planning the biggest drill program at the project in almost 20 years. And I think, as I said, they're drill-ready targets, and we're expecting positive results. So we think it's going to be a really exciting time to be adding pounds to a developable project in a commodity that appears to have really strong tailwinds as a critical mineral and a baseload provider of energy in this new AI and sort of data center time.
I'm very excited to learn more about this potential mega uranium mine in the making. Phil, thank you so much for your time today.
No problem. Thanks, Jay.